I never thought I would find myself in this situation. My name is Jake, and I was married to Amanda for 6 years. We were the couple everyone envied, great jobs, a beautiful house, and a lovable golden retriever named Buddy. I thought we had it all, a picture-perfect life. But deep down, I felt something was off. It started with little things. Amanda became distant, always glued to her phone, and there were countless late-night errands that never seemed to add up. When I asked her about it, she would brush me off with a wave of her hand and a half-hearted excuse. Just work stuff, Jake. You know how it is. I wanted to believe her, and for a while I did, but the nagging feeling in my gut wouldn't go away. Then one Saturday afternoon, I had a rare day off and decided to surprise her. I grabbed some takeout from her favorite restaurant and drove home, expecting to see her lounging on the couch or maybe even taking Buddy for a walk. Instead, I found her car in the driveway, but Amanda was nowhere in sight. I shrugged it off, thinking she might be outside in the backyard or running errands. But as I walked inside, I noticed Buddy was acting strangely. He was barking and packing near the back door, and as I stepped closer, I heard voices. I paused, confusion washing over me. I thought maybe she had a friend over, but as I listened more closely, I recognized one of the voices. It was Mark, our pet groomer. I opened the door and stepped into the backyard, and what I saw made my heart drop. There they were, laughing and sharing a moment that was meant for me. Amanda was sitting on the patio while Mark stood close, leaning in too familiar for comfort. It was like a punch to the gut, my world, my marriage, crumbling in front of me. I cleared my throat loudly and their laughter died instantly. Amanda turned, her eyes wide with shock as she scrambled to her feet. "Jake, I didn't expect you home so soon." She stammered, her voice shaky and guilty. Mark's face paled and he took a step back, trying to play it cool but failing miserably. I felt my blood boil, but I also felt completely blindsided. I wanted to scream, to throw something, but instead I just stood there, letting the weight of the moment settle over me like a heavy fog. "What's going on here, Amanda?" I managed to say, my voice steady despite the chaos in my head. "We were just talking about Buddy. He needs his grooming schedule adjusted," she shot back, but the lie hung thick in the air. I could see through her flimsy excuse, and the realization hit me like a freight train. This wasn't just a casual chat, it was an affair. Her eyes darted to Mark, and I could see the panic rising in her. "Jake, it's not what it looks like," she pleaded, trying to grasp at straws. That was the moment I realized just how deep her deception ran. I couldn't believe this was happening, my wife with our pet groomer of all people. "Then what is it? Because it sure looks like you're having a little more than a chat," I said, my voice eerily calm, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions inside me. I felt anger boiling, but more than that, I felt betrayed. Amanda opened her mouth to reply, but the words wouldn't come. She was scrambling for an excuse. Mark, on the other hand, looked like he wanted to disappear. I could tell he was as much a pawn in this as I was, the one who fell for her charm. I could almost see the thoughts racing through his mind. Should I say something? Should I leave? "Save it, Amanda. I think we both know the truth now," I said, cutting her off. The anger was rising again. It burned in my throat like acid. I turned to Mark. "And you? What the hell do you think you're doing?" He looked at me, then back at Amanda, clearly unsure of how to handle the situation. We were just what? Just having sex." I interrupted, the words spilling out as I felt my heart race. "This isn't just a casual chat, is it?" I wanted to scream, but instead I felt a coldness settle over me. I was still in shock, but the anger was bubbling up, ready to explode. I had to confront her. I had to take control of this situation before it spiraled completely out of hand. And that's when I made a decision. Beginning of what would be a long, painful journey. The confrontation was surreal. I felt like I was watching a movie unfold, the kind where the protagonist grapples with betrayal and uncovers layers of deceit. But this was my life, and I was living in it. Amanda's eyes were darting around, searching for an exit strategy that wouldn't come. I could see the panic in Mark's face, but I didn't care about him. My focus was solely on my wife, the woman I had trusted, the woman I thought I knew. "What do you have to say for yourself, Amanda?" I pressed, crossing my arms over my chest. My heart was racing and the anger was turning to a strange kind of clarity. For the first time, I felt like I was in control of something in this chaotic situation. "Jake, please," she stammered, her voice trembling. "It's not what you think. Mark was just helping me with Buddy's grooming schedule. We were going over the plan for his next grooming day, and I thought it was best to discuss it here. I didn't want to bother you with it." I couldn't help but scoff. "You really think I'm going to buy that? You think I'm that stupid?" The incredulity in my voice was sharp, cutting through the thick air between us. I couldn't believe I was hearing these pathetic excuses, and with every word the truth became more apparent. "Jake, please," she repeated, her tone shifting to desperation. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean for it to happen, I swear. It was just a stupid mistake. A stupid mistake." I shouted, the words erupting from me like a volcano. "Sleeping with our pet groomer isn't a mistake, it's a choice. You chose to betray me, our marriage, everything we built together." My chest heaved with the weight of my emotions. I felt like I could explode, and all the while Amanda was trying to salvage what was left. "I never wanted to hurt you. I was lonely. You've been working late and I just—" "Lonely?" I laughed bitterly. "That's your excuse. You couldn't talk to me. You couldn't say you needed me. Instead, you sought comfort in the arms of another man." She opened her mouth to respond, but it was clear that her words were failing her. I could feel my heart racing, not just with anger but with a deep, gnawing pain. This was someone I had shared my life with, and now she was standing there trying to mend the pieces of a shattered reality. I turned my gaze to Mark, who was still standing awkwardly nearby, his hands shoved deep into his pockets. "And you knew she was married, didn't you?" I challenged him, my voice low and threatening. "Jake, I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did." Mark's voice was shaky and I could sense his fear. "I didn't plan this, it just happened." "Right," I said, my sarcasm dripping like venom, "because that makes it so much better." I turned back to Amanda, my fists clenched. "You two deserve each other." For a moment the silence hung heavy in the air, punctuated only by the sound of Buddy sniffing around the lawn, blissfully unaware of the chaos unfolding around him. I had to breathe. I had to think. My heart was racing, but I felt a sudden calmness wash over me. I was done being the victim in this tragedy. "Pack your things," I said, my voice steady. "I want you out of my house by the end of the day." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "What? You can't be serious." "Oh, I'm dead serious. You can't betray me like this and expect me to just let it slide. You think I'm going to forgive you and go back to how things were? That's not happening." I could see the anger flaring in her eyes, but at that moment I didn't care. I was ready to take control of my life. "You're being unreasonable," she shot back, her voice rising. "You can't just throw me out because of a mistake." "A mistake?" I repeated incredulously, shaking my head. "This isn't a mistake, this is a full-blown betrayal. You made a choice, Amanda, and now you're going to deal with the consequences." I could feel the adrenaline coursing through me, pushing me forward, making me resolute in my decision. I wasn't going to let this take me down. I had to be strong, not just for myself, but for Buddy too. He deserved better than this twisted drama. I reached down and scratched his head, feeling his warmth and loyalty in contrast to the betrayal radiating from Amanda. "I'll get a lawyer," she said weakly, finally starting to realize the gravity of her situation. "You can't just take everything from me." I laughed bitterly again. "Take everything? You already took everything from me. You've taken my trust, my peace of mind, and now you're going to leave. I'll be keeping Buddy too. He's the only thing that makes sense in this mess." I could see the rage building in her eyes, but I didn't care. I was done with the tears, the manipulation, and the broken promises. This was my moment to reclaim my life, and I was ready to fight for it. The emotional impact of this confrontation was overwhelming. I felt like 1,000 emotions were battling inside me: anger, sadness, betrayal. But more than anything, I felt a sense of empowerment. I was done being the victim in this situation. It was time for me to take a stand and set the stage for my life moving forward. The decision was made, and there was no going back. After that explosive confrontation, Amanda stormed inside, leaving me in a whirlwind of emotions. I felt a strange mix of triumph and heartbreak. I had stood my ground, but the reality of what had just happened was starting to settle in. I watched as she grabbed a few bags and began hastily packing her clothes, throwing items into the suitcase as if she were in a race against time. The sight was surreal. This was the woman I shared my life with, and now she was reduced to a frantic figure scrambling to escape the consequences of her actions. I couldn't bring myself to help her. I stood outside in the backyard, Buddy by my side, watching the scene unfold. It felt like I was in a warped reality show where the drama was far too real for comfort. The betrayal cut deep, and the thought of what she had done gnawed at me. I tried to focus on Buddy, who was nudging my hand as if sensing my distress. I scratched behind his ears, grateful for his steadfastness amidst this storm. As Amanda continued to pack, she shot me occasional huffs of anger. "You're being so unreasonable, Jake. I can't believe you're doing this," she yelled, her voice tinged with bitterness. "Unreasonable." I repeated, incredulous. "You've got to be kidding me. You're the one who decided to have an affair. You can't flip the script and make me the bad guy here." She paused for a moment, glaring at me, and I could see the frustration boiling beneath the surface. "You just don't understand. I was feeling neglected and things got out of hand. I didn't mean to hurt you." "Neglected?" I shot back, my voice rising. "That's your excuse for sleeping with someone else. You could have come to me. You could have talked to me instead of running to Mark. This is on you, Amanda, all of it." She finally stopped packing, her hands on her hips, and looked at me defiantly. "And what about you? You've been so caught up in work that you didn't even notice how miserable I was. You can't just blame this all on me." The accusation stung, and I felt a pang of guilt mixed with anger. Maybe I got caught up in work, but that doesn't justify cheating. We had good times, Amanda. I thought we were partners. You could have come to me, but you chose betrayal instead. "I didn't think you'd care," she shouted back, tears forming in her eyes. "You were always so focused on your job. I felt alone." I wanted to scream, to shake her and make her understand how wrong she was, but instead I took a deep breath and tried to remain calm. "You made a choice that put a nail in the coffin of this marriage. Now you need to deal with it, whether you like it or not." Her face twisted in anger and frustration. She turned away, resuming her packing with more force, throwing clothes into the bags like she was trying to erase all memory of our life together. It was painful to watch, but I couldn't let myself waver. I had to remind myself that this wasn't just about her. It was about me reclaiming my life, my happiness. As Amanda continued her chaotic packing, I felt a sudden wave of sadness wash over me. I thought about the life we had built together, the dreams we shared, the vacations, the quiet evenings with Buddy sprawled on the couch between us. I remembered the laughter, the inside jokes, the plans for the future. But now, it felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, watching everything I once held dear crumble to dust. Just then, my phone buzzed in my pocket, and it was a text from my best friend, Mark. He had been my rock through tough times, and I knew I needed to talk to him. I quickly typed a message, letting him know what was happening and inviting him over. I needed a friend to lean on, someone who could provide a distraction from this emotional roller coaster. "Just give me a moment," I called to Amanda, stepping away to give myself a breather. I walked toward the side of the house, Buddy following close behind. I could feel the tension in the air, and I needed to collect my thoughts. As I paced, I felt a mix of anger and hurt, but I also felt the stirrings of determination. I was going to get through this, and I would make sure that I came out stronger on the other side. The thought of Buddy kept me grounded. He was my loyal companion, and I was going to make sure he was taken care of, no matter what. Mark arrived shortly after, and I greeted him with a heavy heart. "Hey man," I said, forcing a smile despite the turmoil inside me. "You won't believe what just happened." We settled at the patio table, and I recounted the events of the day, the discovery, the confrontation, and Amanda's frantic packing. As I spoke, I could see the shock on Mark's face, and I felt a strange relief in sharing my story. It helped me process the chaos swirling inside my head. "Dude," he said, shaking his head in disbelief. "I can't believe she would do that to you. You deserve so much better." His words resonated deep within me. I felt validated, like maybe I wasn't going crazy after all. I just never saw it coming, you know. We were supposed to be happy. I thought we had a solid relationship. Mark's expression softened. "You did have a solid relationship, but relationships require effort from both sides. It sounds like she checked out way before the affair." I nodded, feeling the weight of his words. I just wish she had communicated better instead of running off to Mark. It's like nothing I thought I knew about her was real. Don't beat yourself up, Jake. You've got to focus on yourself now. Take the time to heal and you'll come out stronger. His support meant everything to me in that moment. I knew I had a long road ahead, but at least I wasn't alone. With Buddy by my side and my friend here for support, I felt a flicker of hope amidst the darkness. I wasn't going to let this betrayal define me. I had a decision to make, and it was going to be one that changed my life for the better. As I sat there with Mark, talking through the whirlwind of emotions and decisions that lay ahead, I felt a sense of clarity slowly washing over me. The anger still simmered beneath the surface, but I was starting to formulate a plan, a way to reclaim my life after the devastation Amanda had caused. It was time to put myself first, and that meant taking action beyond just kicking her out. Once Mark left, I turned my attention to Buddy, who was still by my side, looking up at me with those big, trusting eyes. I reached down and scratched his ears, the warmth of his presence providing a comfort I desperately needed. "What do you think, Buddy? Should we get out of here for a bit?" I asked him, half joking but also serious. I grabbed his leash and headed out for a much-needed walk around the neighborhood. The fresh air hit me like a wave, helping to clear my mind. I needed to think about my next steps, both what I wanted for myself and how I would handle the situation with Amanda going forward. As Buddy and I walked, I leaned into the quiet moments, letting nature soothe my racing thoughts. I knew I needed to consult with a lawyer. My mind raced with thoughts of custody, possession of our house, and even the logistics of how to divide our shared life. I wanted to ensure that Buddy would be with me. He was my companion, my solace through this storm. The thought of losing him was unbearable. When we got back home, I realized Amanda had finished packing. The sight of her suitcase by the door made my heart ache. It was a stark reminder of the reality I was living in, a reality I never asked for. I took a deep breath and steeled myself. I needed to confront this situation head-on, and I knew I couldn't avoid her forever. I found Amanda sitting on the couch, her arms crossed tightly over her chest, her expression torn between anger and sorrow. For a moment I felt a flicker of sympathy for her. She was losing everything, but then I remembered the betrayal, the lies, and I pushed that sympathy aside. "Are you ready to talk?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Talk? What's there to talk about?" She snapped, frustration lacing her tone. "You've made your choice, you want me out, so what's left?" I took a deep breath, determined to stay calm. "I want to figure out the next steps. We have a lot to sort through, Amanda. This isn't just about you packing a bag and leaving. There are consequences to your actions." She rolled her eyes but didn't respond, and for a moment, silence hung heavy in the air. I could see the tension in her body, the way she clenched and unclenched her fists. This wasn't just about the affair. This was a rupture of trust. Betrayal that would leave lasting scars. "I'm going to consult with a lawyer," I said, watching her reaction closely. "I need to ensure that Buddy stays with me. He deserves stability, and right now I can't trust you to provide that." Her face twisted in anger. "You think you're just going to take him? That's not fair, Jake. He's my dog too." "No," I said firmly, holding my ground. "You made your choice when you decided to cheat on me. You've broken this family, and now you can't expect to take everything with you. Buddy deserves better than this mess, and so do I." Her eyes narrowed, and she opened her mouth to protest, but I cut her off. "I don't want to fight, Amanda, but I will not let you manipulate me or this situation any longer. You've hurt me in ways I didn't think were possible, and I won't let you walk away unscathed." She huffed, a mix of anger and guilt washing over her features. "You're being vindictive. This isn't about revenge, it's about us." "About us?" I laughed bitterly. "There is no us anymore. You shattered that the moment you chose betrayal over honesty. I'm not looking for revenge, I'm looking for closure and to protect what's mine." Her face fell, and I could see the realization hitting her. She was losing more than just a roof over her head. She was losing the life we built together. I could almost feel a sense of satisfaction at the thought, but then guilt crept in. I didn't want to hurt her, I just wanted to heal. "I'm not trying to be cruel," I continued, my voice softer now. "I just need you to understand the weight of what you've done. I loved you, Amanda, I still do, but I can't continue to live like this. We need to figure out how to move forward." She looked at me, tears glistening in her eyes. "I didn't want it to end like this, Jake. I never meant for things to get so out of hand. It just happened. Maybe it did, but that's not an excuse, I interrupted. I just need you to understand that you've lost my trust in our future together. I need to focus on healing and rebuilding my life. Amanda nodded, and for the first time I saw a flicker of understanding in her eyes. I get it, I really do. I just wish things were different. So do I. I took a moment to gather my thoughts. We'll need to figure out the logistics of everything, dividing our assets, your moving arrangements, and how we'll handle Buddy's custody. I want this to be as civil as possible, but I can't promise anything if you don't come to the table with honesty. I'll do my best, she replied, her voice wavering. I just want this to be over. Then let's make sure it is once and for all. The conversation felt like a turning point. I had no idea what the future held, but I felt a sense of resolve building within me. I was going to take control of my life and make this right, not just for me, but for Buddy too. I would emerge from this stronger, more resilient, and ready to face whatever came next. The days that followed our confrontation were a blur of emotions and decisions. Amanda had officially moved out, and while the house felt emptier, I also felt a strange sense of relief. It was as if the weight of the world had been lifted off my shoulders. I was finally free from the deception and the heartache, but the road ahead was still daunting. I reached out to a lawyer, and we set up a meeting to discuss the division of assets and the custody of Buddy. I certainly didn't want this to turn into a bitter battle, but I also knew I had to protect my interests. The thought of losing Buddy was unbearable. He had been my constant companion throughout this tumultuous period, and the idea of him being caught in the crossfire of our mess made my stomach churn. As I walked through the door of the lawyer's office, I felt a mix of anxiety and determination. The walls were adorned with achievements, certificates of recognition, and framed awards, a stark reminder that I was stepping into a world where emotions were often sidelined for cold calculations. The receptionist greeted me and led me to a small conference room where my lawyer, Lisa, was waiting. "Jake, it's good to meet you," she said, extending her hand. "I understand this must be a tough time for you." "Yeah, you could say that," I replied, taking a seat. "I just want to make sure I'm doing everything right, especially when it comes to Buddy." Lisa nodded, her expression serious. "Let's start with the facts. How long were you and Amanda married, and were there any joint accounts or property?" I took a deep breath, laying out the details of our marriage, how long we had been together, the house we purchased, and our shared finances. I explained how Amanda's affair had shaken the foundation of our relationship, and I made it clear that I was not interested in a lengthy court battle over assets. I just wanted what was fair and, most importantly, custody of Buddy. "From what you've told me, you have a strong case for custody," Lisa said, taking notes. "It's important to document everything, including your bond with Buddy and any evidence you might have regarding Amanda's infidelity, as this can influence custody decisions. We want to show that you're the more stable parent." I nodded, anxious but resolute. "I have emails and texts that show her behavior during the affair, along with photos of Buddy and me from our time together. I just don't want to drag this through the mud." "Understandable," Lisa replied. "We'll approach this as amicably as possible. I'll draft a petition for custody and a separation agreement that outlines asset division. It's important to be clear and thorough." After our meeting, I left the office feeling a mix of trepidation and empowerment. I was taking steps to reclaim my life, and I had to remind myself that this was a necessary process. As I drove home, Buddy's head resting comfortably on the passenger seat, I realized this was my chance to start fresh. I'd learned some valuable lessons about trust, communication, and the importance of standing up for myself, and I was determined not to let this experience define me. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of negotiations, exchanges of documents, and meetings with my lawyer. Amanda had retained her own attorney, and it was clear she was not planning to go down without a fight. I received a few messages from her, filled with apologies and pleas for reconciliation, but I had steeled my heart against her manipulations. I couldn't afford to be swayed by her emotions anymore. "Jake, I miss you," one message read. "Can we just talk? I want to fix this." I stared at the phone for a long time before responding. There's nothing to fix. We need to focus on the divorce and what's best for Buddy. Each message from her felt like a twisted game trying to pull me back into her web of manipulation. I kept reminding myself of my worth and the importance of moving forward. I wouldn't let her drag me back into the darkness. One evening, as I was winding down on the couch with Buddy lounging beside me, I received a notification that Amanda had sent a proposal for a meeting. She wanted to discuss custody arrangements and asset division in person. Part of me wanted to reject the idea, but I knew that avoiding the inevitable would only prolong the situation. When the day of the meeting arrived, I felt a mix of nerves and determination. I had rehearsed what I wanted to say in my mind multiple times, and I knew that I needed to remain calm and focused. We met at a neutral location, a cafe not far from our neighborhood. As I walked in, I spotted Amanda sitting at a table near the window, her expression a mixture of anxiety and defiance. She had put on a brave face, but I could see the cracks in her facade. I approached the table and we exchanged awkward pleasantries before diving into the discussion. "I know this is hard," she started, her voice trembling slightly, "but I think we need to talk about what's best for Buddy." "Agreed. He's our priority," I replied, trying to keep my tone even. I didn't want to lose my cool. "I believe that he should stay with me primarily, and I think it's important for him to have stability, especially after everything that's happened." She nodded, but I could tell she was struggling. "I understand where you're coming from, but I want to be involved in his life. I don't want to just disappear." "Of course," I said, "but your actions have consequences, Amanda. I don't want this to turn into a battle over custody. I want to work together to find a solution that allows you to be a part of Buddy's life." The conversation ebbed and flowed, and for the first time I felt like we were talking as adults rather than enemies. She admitted her mistakes, albeit reluctantly, and I found myself softening slightly. It wasn't about forgiving her, but rather about acknowledging that we both loved Buddy and wanted what was best for him. After discussing various arrangements, we tentatively agreed on a shared custody plan. She would have Buddy on weekends, with specific guidelines to ensure his well-being. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. I could feel some of the tension easing, and even Amanda seemed relieved, though I could tell the weight of regret still lingered in her expression. As I walked out of the cafe, Buddy by my side, I felt a sense of hope blossoming within me. This was a step toward closure, and while the scars of betrayal would take time to heal, I knew I could navigate this new chapter in my life. I had taken control, and in doing so, I had reclaimed my strength and my independence. The journey ahead would undoubtedly be challenging, but I was ready to face it. I had learned the importance of self-worth, of establishing boundaries, and of prioritizing my happiness. Whatever lay ahead, I would face it head-on, one step at a time. As the weeks turned into months, I settled into my new routine, learning to adapt to life after Amanda. The mornings began with Buddy eagerly wagging his tail, his joy infectious as we embarked on our daily walks. I found comfort in the simple moments, hearing his playful bark, watching him chase squirrels, and sharing quiet evenings at home. With each passing day, I felt a little more like myself again. During the divorce proceedings, I focused on what mattered, Buddy's well-being and my own healing. I made it a point to stay engaged with my friends, reconnecting with those I hadn't seen in a while. Mark, my best friend, was a constant source of support, often joining me for coffee or a game of basketball. It felt good to reclaim parts of my life that had been overshadowed by Amanda's betrayal. Eventually, the dust settled on the divorce. We had reached an agreement that was fair for both parties, and I felt a strange sense of closure. I realized that while losing Amanda had been painful, it also opened up space for personal growth and reflection. I had spent too long on autopilot, and now I was finally in control of my own destiny. One Saturday afternoon, as I lounged on the couch watching a game, I received a text from Amanda. My heart raced. The last time we communicated had been strictly about custody arrangements. I hesitated for a moment, then opened the message. "Hey, Jake, I just wanted you to know that I've been doing a lot of thinking. I'm really sorry for everything that happened. I've been going to therapy and I realize how much I took for granted. I felt a mix of emotions wash over me. Part of me wanted to respond, to engage in this new dialogue of accountability, while another part of me wanted to close that chapter entirely. I chose the former, thinking it would be best for both of us. Thanks for reaching out, Amanda. I appreciate your honesty. I hope the therapy is helping you find some clarity. Her reply came quickly. It is. I've been reflecting on everything, and I just wanted you to know that I'm truly sorry for how things ended. I hope we can eventually move on as co-parents. I hope so too. I typed back, feeling a sense of relief as I hit send. It was an acknowledgement of our past, but also an acceptance that we were now on separate paths. The next few months continued smoothly, with Buddy settling into our new routine. I was committed to ensuring he had a balanced relationship with both of us, and it was fulfilling to see Amanda trying to be a more present co-parent. She was making efforts to be involved, and I appreciated the progress we were both making. As the seasons changed, I began to focus on myself in ways I hadn't before. I took up running, joining a local jogging group that met every Saturday morning. The fresh air and camaraderie helped me regain my sense of self, and I found joy in the physical challenge. Additionally, I began to explore new hobbies. Photography became a newfound passion, and I enjoyed capturing Buddy's antics and the beauty of the world around me. One day, while I was out taking pictures at a nearby park, I noticed a woman sitting alone on a bench, sketching in a notebook. She had a warm smile and an aura that drew me in. I hesitated for a moment before approaching her, heart racing with a mix of excitement and nerves. "Hey, I couldn't help but notice your drawings. They're beautiful," I said, gesturing to her artwork. "Oh, thank you, I'm just playing around with some ideas," she replied, looking up at me with bright eyes. "I'm Emily, by the way." "Jake," I introduced myself, feeling an instant connection. We chatted for a while and the conversation flowed easily. We discovered common interests: art, outdoor adventures, and even our love for dogs. Emily had a golden retriever named Max, and it felt like fate that Buddy and Max would get along splendidly. As we talked, I felt a spark of something I hadn't felt in a long time. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. When we exchanged numbers and agreed to meet again the following weekend, I felt a sense of hope blossoming within me. I had spent so long focused on the pain of my past that I had almost forgotten what it felt like to connect with someone in a meaningful way. Months passed, and Emily became a wonderful addition to my life. Our relationship blossomed organically, free from the weight of expectations. I found myself opening up and embracing the joy of companionship again. Buddy and Max became fast friends, and our outings frequently turned into double dates, an adventure for us all. Reflecting on my journey, I realized that I had emerged from the darkness of betrayal stronger than before. The lessons I learned from my marriage with Amanda about trust, honesty, and the importance of communication had shaped me into a better version of myself. I was no longer afraid to stand up for what I deserved, and I had prioritized my happiness above all else. As I sat one evening with Emily and Buddy at the park, watching the sunset paint the sky in vibrant hues, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. Life had its ups and downs, but I had come out the other side wiser and ready for whatever came next. I had learned that sometimes the end of one chapter is just the beginning of another, a chance to rewrite my story, one filled with love, laughter, and the bond of a loyal dog by my side.